Hey guys, getting started really quickly, soonly. Yeah. Been a bit off lately, but I've been doing stuff off stream. But sometimes streaming helps, so we're gonna be working on some screenwriting today. I just need to eat some breakfast at 12 p.m. And coffee. And we can get started on some free writing on this story idea I started. I have one page down in the cold open. So that's a start to an idea, but it's not quite an idea yet. But it's something. So stay tuned. Oh, Shoryuken. Shoryuken. Okay, what's up, you guys? It's been quite a minute. The thing is, oop, I did it again. I forgot to change the settings again for the webcam. It's not something... I really wish it would persist the settings after each boot. And also, the problem is this, seems like the only way to change these settings for the webcam. I don't know where to find the dialogue executable. I've looked all over for it. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But like, I know the workaround is to just open up OBS and open up the webcam properties. And then I can like change the webcam. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But if I'm gonna go into a Zoom meeting or something, I have to like open up OBS if I started the computer recently. Like if I've done a restart, or I haven't streamed since I started my webcam. If I haven't changed it since I started the computer, it won't keep the last settings I had. It'll restart back to the default, which has this really laggy like auto light fix. It's kind of ridiculous. I wish it would just keep these settings automatically. I'm pretty sure if I really dug deep, if I went into the registry and changed it, but I can't seem to find it in the registry either. It's like, I just don't know where the settings for this webcam are because it's not under Logitech, which is where you would think it would be. It's crazy. Crazy webcam bullshit, okay? It's crazy webcam bullshit. I don't know what to do. Except for just the workaround. Open up OBS, open up the webcam properties, change the properties, and then go back to my freaking ending screen, you know, to prevent, like, you know, in case you accidentally go live, I have this screen that takes away everything. Yeah, so yeah, it's like I have some fail safes, okay? Control-Alt F5 will completely fail safe my stream. So if somebody, I do have also scroll lock. If I hit scroll lock, it'll take away the desktop audio. So if I do have a guest on stream who might say something really bad, I can like try to hit scroll lock while I try to like get rid of them from Discord call or something like that. And permaban them from my channel. Because if, I mean, obviously it's nice to collab with people, but the thing is like I usually try not to collab with smaller creators unless I kind of trust them. But even then, like, I've had collabs with people. It hasn't been bad so far, but like I worry about collabing with other small streamers because you just don't know like who they are. If you know what I mean, like it's hard to collab with small streamers, which is why I don't blame bigger creators for like not trusting smaller creators. Well, which makes my goal to become somebody who can be trusted, and that's pretty much been my goal for a while. So they've been out of the. It seems like I don't know, like why they don't keep more of the ginger one, because every single brand of this, every single flavor is like still there, and people, seems like people aren't buying them, and it's the caffeine free ones that people are buying, and it's the ginger one that people are buying the most. So why Revive, why don't you just like sell more ginger ones to Safeway, you know, instead of just like, I don't know. And I wish they would actually sell them in bigger packs. I have to buy them individually. It's frustrating. I mean, obviously I could probably buy them at a different store, like Whole Foods or something. And they probably have packs of them. Maybe I'm just lazy and I haven't found the packs. And maybe they do have them in Safeway. I don't know. Either way, I don't want to buy them online because then I can't use my food stamps. But yeah, this is Revive Kombucha. It has like 5 billion live probiotics. are good for your gut health. I've been really trying to pay attention to my gut health because, you know, gut health is actually way more important than people might think it is. You need like probiotics and fiber, like dietary fiber, not the kind of fiber that makes you poop. People think that pooping with like lots of fiber is what helps you keep healthy, but no, it's gut health that keeps you healthy. And if you have good gut health, you'll have better digestion, which means you'll poop healthy. People, you know, it's like, I don't know, poop health is weird. People think that if you poop more, like, that it's healthy, and it's like, no, it's like, you gotta be regular, but you also need to be like, it needs to be healthy digestion. Like if you eat a lot of like Burger King or McDonald's or whatever, it's gonna be really bad. Basically, when you take, I mean, obviously your shit's gonna stink, okay? There's no getting around that. But if you take like an hour to shit, and if your shit is really fucking stinky, there's some dietary changes you need to make. Because people are like proud of like sitting on the toilet for like 40 minutes on their phone. I sit on the toilet for like maybe a couple minutes. Like I can't, it would be weird to work out, to play on my phone on the toilet. Like just go poop and then wash your hands and then use your phone. You're gonna prevent pink eye. Okay, so stop it. Stop it. Okay? Yeah. Anyway, I got some screenplay stuff to work on. I'm procrastinating right now by talking to you. But at the same time, having my stream open kind of gives me... How come it's not auto-watching? Oh, there it is. Okay, wait. Is it auto-watching Top Game? How come it's not auto-watching Top Game? That's what I already set it to auto-watch Top Game. And it's not doing it. I know for sure it works in the live, but they're phasing that out. So I need to be like using this new one. I have it set to auto-watch Top Game. Maybe if I do it again. Is it only gonna follow bullet games though? Because I know it worked with bullet games earlier. But how come it wasn't showing blitz games? I don't get it. Because I wanted something in the background while I did it. And I might play some chess in between. Obviously. You know, have it available. I was doing that with Jump King as well. See, it works with bullet. I wanted to only watch Blitz though. It's ridiculous. But yeah, hopefully that's something that people might be able to watch, so they don't get bored watching me like write and stuff. Either way, it's not really about, I mean, I'm sorry you guys, but my stream is not really at the point where it's about you guys so much. As a small creator, streaming is only as useful as I make it. And so the reason I stream is to motivate myself to come work on stuff that I want to work on. Like writing, for example. And yeah, you could say I do better writing if I didn't stream it, but at the same time, I already know my habits, and I need to build habits. So whether I might have to stream it for a while to build those habits before I can do it offline. If that makes sense, because in the past I would get into writing, and I would I would get into writing and I would just stop. like it's ridiculous what would happen. I get really into it and then suddenly I just stop. So yeah, streaming really helps with that, because it kind of puts me in a mindset where I know that I'm documenting the process, which is a huge deal for me too, because I want to have a space to be able to speak out loud and be able to go back and say, hey, what did I say at that point in the stream? So it's really not, like I said, I'm sorry to anybody watching, but the streams at the moment, at this point in my content creation career, are not about you. Although I do love interacting with you guys. But like I said, the content that I do on stream is going to be on stuff that improves my life. It's going to be on stuff that helps me move my life forward. And right now, I do think that I could start getting practice writing screenplays, and I think I could do really well. But the biggest problem is I need to get stuff finished, and I need to get a finished draft, and then I actually need to go back and rewrite those drafts. That's the biggest problem I have. That's the #1 problem I have, is I just don't seem to. I don't seem to be able to finish anything. Okay, so here we go. Cold open. I mean, usually I think people say write teaser. I just like write cold open because it. That just makes it more sense because it says specifically what it is. The cold open. Hey Jess. So we got trying to get into a habit of writing, and this is what I did yesterday. I also did a Rick and Morty fan fiction. This one I wrote. This one kicked me back off into it. Oops. Oh. There we go. So this is cold open, Rick and Morty fanfiction, draft A, incomplete. I have the first 5 pages for this one. Interior laboratory night. A creature the size of 3 footballs wearing goggles walks down a stairwell into the lab. There are many different tools on a large stone table. The room is dimly lit, but as the creature reaches the bottom, we can see a dark figure of a teenager who begins to slow clap, stepping forward and revealing that he's Evil Morty. Again with the slow clap? We saw that in season 1 already. It never gets old. You left us with quite a turn of events. When you left the central finite curve, you somehow brought me into existence. I'm still trying to figure out who you are, but it doesn't matter. You'll serve just as well. And if I refuse? Evil Morty smirks as he makes his way to the tools on the table. He rummages through some drawers and pulls out a large glowing and translucent green gem with images of Rick and Summer taking turns farting into a jar labeled Morty, fapping, as Morty opens up a laptop to watch porn. Evil Morty then places the gem into a slot of a tool and starts to work it a little bit. He then turns to the creature with the tool aimed at it. You want to find out what happens if you do? Oh, come on! Was that even necessary exposition? Don't think about it. Evil Morty moves closer to the creature to use the tool on it. Close up on Evil Morty's unemotional face with the creature off shot as it screams. Interior, Rick's garage, day. Morty runs into the garage, gasping for air, covering his boner with his laptop. Rick and Summer walk in laughing and high-five each other. God damn it, Summer, I expected this sort of behavior from Rick, but why would you even do that knowing I'm jerking off? That's the point, Morty? Yeah, it's not like we haven't seen it before. Rick shows the jar. And that's the whole point of the labeling system anyway. How else would I be able to document things for my research? What research, Rick? You mean bullying me? We don't need science to do that. I think what Summer is trying to say is that your porn-addled mind can't comprehend the reasoning behind it. Rick fumbles around for some science gadgets. He places the jar into one end of it. It makes a farting sound, followed by Morty's screams. The device starts churning and a translucent yellow gem pops out of the other end. Oh, you were doing actual science stuff? I thought we were just pranking Morty. By the way, spoilers for season 5 if you want to tune out. Sorry about that. I forgot to say that. Oh, you were doing actual science stuff? I thought we were just pranking Morty. Summer pulls out and looks at her phone and walks back into the house. Rick shoves the gem into Morty's face and Morty backs away, covering his nose. Aren't you going to ask what this is, Morty? Some kind of fart rock? I don't know. It's obviously some kind of device that moves the plot forward or something lazy like that. Obviously, Morty. Jeez, you'd think after 5 seasons we'd be done with all the exposition. Why is it yellow? Good question. Wait, you don't know? I'm the smartest Rick in the central finite curve, Morty, but some things exist outside of it. Weren't you paying attention to the season finale? We were a bit busy, I don't know, not dying. I didn't have any time to take it all of the intricate details. That's what YouTube is for, Morty. Exterior driveway, continuous. Space Beth arrives on her ship. She opens the door, spilling many wine bottles onto the ground as she stumbles out. An alien claw grips onto her leg as she closes the door and falls to the ground. The garage door opens. Rick and Morty meet with Space Beth. Rick casually picks up the claw. Space Beth, slurring and mumbling. Space dinosaurs in space. Holy shit, Beth! I can't believe you're already in your dinosaur hunting phase. Damn it, that means I missed the one where you started a bunch of religions on developing planets. I had a whole season plan and everything. Mr. Poopy Butthole was supposed to have an entire development arc. Way to go, Beth. Really? That's the first thing you say to your daughter who may or may not be a clone? Oh, and you have something better to say? Weren't you masturbating? Morty storms back into the house. Space Beth continues to groan and speak drunken gibberish. Oh, geez, Rick. I wonder why we never asked how you're able to drink so much. Damn it, Beth. You know that I have the hardest working liver in the galaxy, right? You can't just drink like that or you're literally going to die. No wonder you went straight to dinosaurs. Fucking idiot. Rick uses his portal gun, steps in, and comes back with a cooler labeled Plumbus Corp, and sets it on the ground next to Beth. He reaches into the cooler and pulls out a synthetic liver that has testicles hanging from it. He takes a swig from his flask and uses a laser scalpel from his Inspector Gadget hands to cut into Beth. He pulls out the old liver and shoves in the new one haphazardly. He looks at the old liver in his hand for a second before shrugging and tossing it back into the cooler. He places a refund requested label on it and drinks from his flask again. Space Beth starts to groan, then suddenly starts snoring. Beth walks out into the driveway. Damn it, Dad, what the hell did you do to her? Oh, thank you for saving my sister, or whatever the hell you want to call each other, Rick. You're welcome. Beth walks to the ship and notices the many wine bottles. Jesus, Beth, what happened to you? Oh, what is that? Are you talking to her or talking to yourself? You know what? Screw this. I'm gonna go on a solo adventure. Probably not another pickle, Rick, but I'll think of something. You have your best story or whatever. Don't fuck up this universe. I already started a new band here. Hipster. I don't need to hear that from someone who can't even invent interdimensional travel. This is why you don't go out into space unless you're a genius. Jesus, Dad, where'd all this shit come from? Where'd all this shit come from? Oh, you'd like me to answer that now before the third act, wouldn't you? Well, tough shitballs. I'm out. Rick farts and opens a portal and leaves. Well, I'm not cleaning this up. Beth looks around the bottles and finds one that's still halfway full, a claw gripping it. She shakes it off and drinks from it as she walks back to the house. She bumps into the cooler, looks at it for a beat, then shrugs. Fuck! Yeah, so that's basically what that is. It's really kind of bullshit. I don't know what to do next. I kind of gave like the cold openings idea. I think is a good start for building ideas, because I can make it like a premise that I can think about, and then like kind of figure out what the 3-act structure is going to be. So that's kind of why I like the cold open structure. Obviously it doesn't work for every story, but at least right now I can work on it. It's something to be good at. Like it is useful, especially nowadays with a lot of TV series using them. It seems to be really popular nowadays, and I understand why. It's really useful. Because it can, especially for like a Monster of the Week kind of stories. Like, because with like Monster of the Week stories, it's like you want to like introduce a new character you've never met before, and stuff like that, and you want to like set the premise of the episode and the tone and all that kind of stuff. But I think like obviously in certain shows it's just part of it. It allows you to like set like what the themes are of the episode and stuff, and also work on the overarching ideas as well, you know. I think like right here it's like the biggest thing right here is like the main theme of the episode, the A story, is the Beth story, and I wanted to write a Beth story, because I feel like there's a lot of potential there, and I don't know if they're going to explore it in the real show or not. And I'd like to explore it myself based on the information I know from watching the show. Obviously, I don't have the complete writer information that they have from their discussions, but the point of fan fiction is like I get to have my own take on it. And so the key words here are like, thank you for saving my sister, or whatever the hell you want to call each other. And that's kind of like a meta-analysis of it. Is because like, and then this, oh, what is that? Are you talking to her or talking to yourself? Like, that's the A story. Like, that's the theme of the episode I want to write. Like, I want to write an episode is like, because she says, Jesus, Beth, what happened to you? Like, is she talking to her or herself? Like that's the whole idea, is the whole cloning thing is like, whether she's the clone or not shouldn't matter. Like, I think that's what the writers were trying to get at. Like, I think that's what the writers of Rick and Morty like are trying to explore with Beth and Space Beth, is that like, and that's why, you know, spoiler warning, by the way, that's why like at the end of season 4, yeah, at the end of season 4, like Space, like, you know, we find out that Rick didn't even know which one's the clone. So one of them is a clone, one of them isn't. And so it's like the whole idea is that like, should it matter? And like that's why it's like, are you talking to her or talking to yourself? Like, that's the whole story is going to be based on both Beths working that out. And I think the B story is obviously Rick's solo adventure, and every now and then a C story of Rick and Summer watching interdimensional cable. Or I could just have that be the B story, and then at the very end Rick comes back from his solo adventure and he's just like, fuck you. Like, that might be it. I don't know, but I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know if I want to work on that today. We might, but this one is another story. This is a story called Bounty. I forgot to rename the file. Save as Bounty. This one is interesting too. I like this idea of bounty hunters, by the way. My novel, Even Star, focuses on the idea of bounty hunters. So, but it's like that's not the central theme of that one. That's just kind of how I built the character, Tully Evenstar. She is a bounty hunter, but then like she becomes something more once she starts working with people and letting people in. Like that's her whole story arc, is that she's kind of a lone wolf. She only has like one friend, and even her one friend she doesn't treat right. It's like an android that she built that contains the consciousness of her dead sister, but is a unique entity of his own, and so she's trying to figure out how to separate them because she doesn't want to lose him trying to get her sister back, because she might never be able to get her sister back, and if she loses her only friend in the process, then she truly has nobody. And that's kind of like the theme of that character in that novel, is that she's trying to like not be alone, and I relate to that a lot. She's like a lot of Tully. The reason why I feel like I've written the most out of every novel that I've written for Evenstar was because I think Tully is like one-to-one basically with me. Like she is basically me. Like she's like super hyper intelligent and like invents lots of shit. Like obviously I don't literally do these things, but you know, like her core identity kind of thing is me, basically. I don't know if she is or isn't trans. I think it's just like, it's one of those things where it's open to interpretation. She's pretty gender neutral, but she's clearly feminine at the very least, and she uses she/her pronouns. But she's also like, she's lived for, I mean, the whole thing about Tully Evenstar is that she's lived for like 1,000 years. And like a lot of things happen. I don't know if I want to change that timeline. I don't know if I want to make it so it's more like 300 years, because that might be a little bit more easy to wrap my head around, because 1,000 years is a really long fucking time. And someone being alive that long, I don't really know if that's relatable. But then again, I don't know. I wrote her very well, I think. Like as a character, but it's not so much about the bounty hunting. It's more about like the story that happens after the bounty hunting. So that was the seed for the story, and this story, which is I'm writing in screenplay format instead of novel format, is centralizing around bounty hunters, because I still want to explore that idea of bounty hunters. Okay. Exterior open field, dawn. Oh, this is a cold open. 3 soldiers walk across a field of grass. Selena, Jared, and Dale. It's late spring. The soldiers are wearing leather-style armor, swords at their hips. Selena also has a rifle across her back. Dale stops and crouches down. The other 2 immediately do the same. Selena readies her rifle. Excuse me. I have coffee. It's cold already. Like I haven't drank my coffee for like an hour, so it's cold. Jeez, it doesn't matter. Exterior, forest across the field. Bare feet run across the forest floor, making barely any sound. Exterior, open field. Selena looks through her sights. Dale and Jared are in deep focus, closing their eyes and softly mouthing some sort of incantation, while a soft orange glow surrounds them. After several beats, they vanish. Top-down view of the entire field. Zoom in towards Selena's scope. From her POV, we see a crosshair with several different computer readings and a heads-up display. She surveys the entire forest entrance. We hear a soft click as the view zooms in further. Nobody can be seen and there is no movement. Normal view of Selena. She fires the gun. Sparks of electricity form around the barrel, culminating to the end of the gun into a large ball of energy, which grows larger over several beats. A bolt of lightning fires in a continuous line toward the trees. Exterior, forest across the field. The lightning strikes a tree, which erupts in fire. A small humanoid creature falls from the limbs and lands on the ground, immediately running. Dale and Jared materialize directly in front and behind the creature. Dale is in front, draws his blade, and kills the creature swiftly. They start walking back towards Selena. They barely broke a sweat. Exterior, open field. Selena surveys the area for a few more beats and places the gun back behind her back. She gets up and starts walking toward the forest. Cut to opening credits. So this one I'm like not so clear about what it's about, but I do know that like there's 3 characters, and I don't know if these are the main characters. I think Selena is probably the central character. By the way, I'm tired of central male characters, so I try to be the change and write central female characters. Obviously, a lot of angry dudes on the internet are pissed off about shit like that, but you know, usually those are incels, so we don't care about them. I really do think I mean, obviously, sometimes in order to, people think that it's like, I think that the logic is they say like, oh, it's forcing people to be diverse. But the thing is we are diverse. Like, it's more realistic to have diverse characters. And also, in order to counterbalance the large amount, the large body of work that has central, like, white male characters, like, you kind of need to, make up for it by making like central characters who aren't white and male, which doesn't mean that you exclude that. Every now and then you should have white male main characters, because that's true too. Some people are white and male. like that's it's not like you're trying to erase people. I don't know why incels are like that. They think that, and racist people like. This is some Greek style chicken. Looks like it has some kind of like cheese, like feta cheese. It has cauliflower rice, which is low carb. And it looks like it has artichokes and some kind of tomatoes and chicken. And looks like zucchini. And it's pretty good. There's like an I ate the biggest artichoke. I think it was artichoke. Although I don't know if it's zucchini or cucumber. Yeah, here's another artichoke heart, or an artichoke thing. I think that's what it is. Baby artichokes? I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of stuck. Usually what I do is I feel like I write like a scene and then I feel done, which is not true at all. But that's how I feel. And then I want to move on to the next thing. But then I get frozen. And so I don't know if I don't know. We're going to try to figure this out. I don't know what to do at the start here to do the next scene. Let's do an interior scene. Library. Let's do a library. It's in contrast. But in order to make this interesting, how about make this an arcane library? Because there's clearly a magic system here. Like that's clearly the case. Like at the start you see, and it was like kind of a debate, right? Like you start off with just seeing like some kind of medieval looking armor. You think it's going to be a story, and very quickly you find out like this is why it's within one page. This is probably in the span of like 1 to 2 minutes. If not like 1 minute. Usually, the timeline for basically screenplays, 1 page equals 1 minute generally, but obviously, you know, a filmmaker can draw that out or shorten it. You know, obviously during production they change the script. Usually when you write a spec, you're just trying to speculate on the idea in order to sell the idea. And that's, so it's like, with me, I'm trying to get discovered. I'm not trying to make a movie. So the idea of my screenplays is I need to be less specific about scenes and more like just giving the broad strokes so that people can understand the ideas. Because I'm not necessarily trying to make these into movies. I'm trying to show people that I can write movies. Like that, like, so it's like, that's what I'm trying to build. Obviously I have a lot of work to do. But yeah, let's do a scene in an arcane library. How about let's make it at night? How about dusk? Late night, yeah. Yeah, it's just night. Yeah, so it's like, obviously I wanted this one to be at dawn because it's like a specific time. This one could be like a little bit more open, like, so here, because I had a lot of action here, it's a lot of stuff to draw the attention, but the thing you don't want to do is you don't want to like replace this for actual action. Like you want something to be happening at the beginning afterwards, because you don't want this to replace what happens next. And I think a lot of people make the mistake with like prologues, and like, because cold open is basically a prologue. A prologue done well adds value to the story in a way that you can't do in a traditional opening sequence. So like, obviously this is like a very specific scene that has like no build up. But I think what a lot of people do is they have a lot of boring stuff because they think they have to work their way up to something like this. And they think, and obviously if you showed somebody a scene without this stuff, this can't be boring. Like, this can't be bad. And I was reading a script the other day, and there was like an interesting prologue, but they also did the thing where they put text on the screen. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. Like when they start off a movie or a show with like text cards on a screen that you have to read through to understand the story. Like, why don't you just show that through the film? Show that through action or dialogue. Like, there's so many different ways to do that. Obviously, if it's a very specific, like, you need a ton of lore, maybe that's something you might be able to do. Like, if it's a very specific thing, like, but even then, you could do that with, like, a voiceover. You don't have to do that with text cards. I think text cards are, like, the absolute worst thing you could possibly do. I always hate them. They're hard to read. And like, it's even at the end of movies where it's like based on a true story, and they tell you what happens at the end, like after, like what happened in their life, like after that, it's still hard to read. Like, you could show that somehow, like show don't tell. Like, I don't know. I just think that why anybody would think that text cards are useful is beyond me. Like, show like some B-roll with like voiceover. Like, long ago there was, like, you know, like Lord of the Rings is a good example. They started off with like a text quote, but it was a small quote. Like, it was the line that's in the beginning of the book. And it was like, it was shown in a way that was like really nice, and it had like stuff in the background, I think. But I think it was also read out loud by the narrator. So I think here we want to start out with some dialogue. Like, because this was all action. In order to keep things interesting, we can't just have a whole bunch of more action. But we don't want it, we don't want it to be meaningless. Like, obviously, I don't know, I was reading something the other day, and all the dialogues was just like really generic. Like, it's like, I think people get this idea that writing a story is just like, this happens, then this happens, then this happens. And it's like, not really like that. Like, everything needs to happen for a reason. Because it's not supposed to be like real life. If it were like that, it'd be boring, because real life is really fucking boring. I'm literally just sitting here in my house typing into a document. Like, that's boring. You don't want that. You want to show things that evoke emotions and and showcase and show you the idea without necessarily showing how it would realistically be. I think a lot of people will criticize movies for not being realistic, but I think the idea is you can't be realistic. You have to go above and beyond, because it's not actually happening to you. And so in order to, and obviously it's entertaining for a reason. And I think people will shit on stuff that comes out as being too commercial, but really, like, they're only working with what works. And what works, and your storytelling has been around since the beginning of language. And since before language, I mean body language. Storytellers have been a central part of human history. And so I think people like will shit on like storytellers nowadays. They'll say like, oh, that's not a real job. It's like, yeah, it is. Like, it's a crucial part of human society. Like, we tell stories so that we can understand each other and stop killing each other. Like, that's the whole idea. It's a survival thing, because if we don't understand each other, we might hurt each other because we think that somebody's gonna like steal our food or kill us or something. And so it's like, if we understand like the reasons why people do things, we have more empathy for each other. And so that's literally a survival tool. And language, and especially language barriers and culture barriers, are usually what causes friction. And so if we can learn how to connect that, we can become a more peaceful species, which means we'll be able to survive and thrive. And so I think people don't underestimate the power of storytelling. And how we do our storytelling changes as we gain new knowledge and as we gain new technology. And so I hate it when people say like, oh, you know, novels are dead. It's like, no, they're not. There's a whole market for it. And people don't really understand how much you can capitalize on even like 1,000 people. If you have 1,000 people buying each novel you write for like $5 a pop, or even $3 a pop, like that's like, I mean, before fees and stuff and taxes, that's $3,000. I mean, that's $3,000. That's 1,000 people. If you write a book a month, which is very possible, by the way, if you write certain genres, and if you get rid of this idea that you have to like write the next big novel that'll be like the big life-changing novel, it's like, dude, like, it's possible to do both. And I think it's just an excuse. You should be able to do commercial stuff and artistic stuff, and hopefully combine the two. That's the ideal. If you can make something commercially viable and artistically viable in your subjective opinion or whatever, and which is that's the whole point, is that it's subjective, right? Like, if you get too attached to that, you're going to limit yourself. You have to be willing to let go of that and just do what's commercially viable, in my opinion. Because obviously, if you need to sell, because otherwise you won't be able to make a name for yourself, which means that you're not going to be able to be successful in doing whatever passionate projects you want to do. So, you know, because you don't have a name for yourself. And also, I wish people would stop shitting on commercially viable stuff. Because I like commercially viable stuff. I really love it. Millions of people love it. And that's clear by the fact that people are buying movie tickets. Like that, like, it has value. Just because you don't necessarily like it for whatever weird reason And usually it's some weird reason, like you just don't like certain genres, or you don't like that, or you're some like incel that doesn't like having a female lead character or some shit like that. That's usually what happens. And just because opinion seems to be popular doesn't mean it's good. And it's like, there's this weird thing that happens on the internet where people think that these certain demographics are very like important. Like people on like Reddit, for example, might like have whole populations of people that hate like a new Marvel movie or something. But you're forgetting that that's probably only like a few thousand people, and there's like millions of people in the world who've seen the movie, and most of those people don't have a Reddit account. So you kind of have to put things in perspective there. So I think in this scene, let me open up my notes. Okay, where's my screenplay notes? Okay. Let me load that up onto the screen. I think I can get it to fit. Is it not showing chess games again? What the fuck is wrong with this? Let me just switch over to the live. It works in live, I know that. Like it'll auto show watch talk. I think they haven't fixed it yet. Yeah, I think I could just do it this way. And then I can just pop it up whenever I need to. Okay. Ah! Okay, yeah, this one I can just pop it up when I need to. Yeah, that's fine, I think. And of course, let me Let me add in a little bit of a show transition and a high transition, just because. Okay. Doesn't take too long. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I can just kind of like pop it in every time I want to work on the notes and stuff. Okay. You'll never be in this channel. Okay. Okay, so I think for this, okay, so let's say, for bounty scene outlines, just do a cold open, and then just do the first scene of the first, oh. How come it's not copying? Control C. Really? Okay. Let's do infield dawn. And then for next scene, I just use the next one as the next interior arcane library night, and that's the next yeah, just do the cold open. Yeah, I need to figure out how to I think I'll just use the first scene. I mean the first the first scene scene tag. I think that's what they're called, scene tags. Like interior arcane library night. I'll use the first scene tag of that scene that I want to work on. Oh, cool. I can do this to keep track of things. I don't think you can see it. I don't think you can see it. Yeah, it doesn't pop up, but I can add locations into the document itself. I can't jump to it? The hell? How do I jump to it? It'd be nice to be... I should be able to jump in between locations that I set, right? Go to scene. Okay, there we go. Oh, I can jump in between, but it's like they're not numbered. It's not... It's kind of shitty. Here, let me Google it really quick. This time. Trelby. Jump to view scene list and jump to them. Seamless panel to the right side. All right, they're called slug lines. That's what they're called. That's what they're called. So they were working on it in 2011. Was it ever implemented? Jeez. Scene navigator. It's already been addressed in issue 2. This was back in 2011. I can look at an overview. Ugh. Yeah, it looks like I have to like write code to fix this. It hasn't been implemented since 2011. I think I can write code to do it eventually, but we're gonna do that on a different stream. Because there's currently a place to look at all the different scenes and locations, but you can't jump to them. Scene report. Oh, there we go. At least I can... Oh, okay. At the very least, I can make a scene report. And that gives me a list of each number of each scene. And how many, like it'll say percentage of action or dialogue. And then it'll tell me which number the scene is. And then I can just jump to it that way. So that's kind of a weird, I have to like redo it every time I want to jump. So it's kind of crappy. Like I have to do it each time. That's kind of shitty. So like if I want to add another scene, let's add another scene, for example. Let's take away this. Like if I had another scene, like exterior, outside library, arcane library. Oh, arcane library steps. Like it's gonna transition from arcane library to the outside. But then I have to do view, reports, scene report, or location report. Oh, I can do a location report. Oh, that's not as good. Yeah, just do a scene report, because location report is only the ones that I add to locations. But if I really want to like make specific locations that are important, it seems like I can't go to locations, so that doesn't really, that's more for like, oh, this is so freaking janky. Obviously Final Cut Pro would probably have this, but I don't want to buy it. I just use Trelby. So I can do a scene report now, and it'll tell me, it now says 0 through 7. And so if I want to jump to go to scene with Alt-G, and it's 1 through 7. If I want to go to the first scene, it'll jump to that one, and then I can go to the last scene, or number 7, at the Arcane Library steps. That's really janky, but it's what I gotta do for now. Because obviously as the script gets bigger, like 60 to 100 pages, I want to be able to look at the whole navigation. Because it's at first it seems it's really easy to deal with, like just scrolling through. But I have a system for doing that for novel writing that I am really proud of developing. That's been really helpful, because obviously as you write a novel, it's really easy to navigate just using like the scroll bar, like in the first like 10 to 15 pages. But you get to like, you know, 100 or 200 pages, you need to be able to jump in between chapters and scenes really easily. And so I figured out how to use in Open Office. In LibreOffice Writer, I figured out you can use the navigation panel using headings, and I figured out a good system that works for me for that, so that it scales properly for novels. Although I need something for screenwriting, and for now it has to be that really kind of tedious process where I have to know the number of, like, I have to know the scene number in order to jump to it. So it's like, I think in my notes, because this is all because I wanted to be able to take notes. So obviously sometimes it's important before you start making notes to figure out how you're going to structure your notes, because if you start off badly, you're gonna be confused trying to fix it later. So in my notes, this is Just gonna call this 1. This is 7, or this is 6. Okay, so I need to figure out what I want to happen here. Because obviously I could just start writing, but I want to kind of have some bullet points over what I'm going to do. Because I know what the first scene is. It's just kind of write a summary. Finish my coffee. A summary for the first scene in the cold open. 3 soldiers hunt and kill a target. Let's just say 3 bounty hunters. And kill a target. And the key point here is that this specific scene was to showcase their skill. And I showcased that this is a very quiet target, because it was like running across the forest floor and was able to get into trees and not be seen. But we showed that Selena has like this ability, apparently, to see things that aren't there. I mean, I mean, to see things that nobody else can see. Even using her heads-up display, with her advanced technology, like the weapon itself wasn't what caused it. She clearly, at least I hope that's the hope of showcasing. Like obviously with Dale, like they didn't have guns because they don't need guns, because they have that magic that they used. They can go invisible or even teleport. We don't know. All we know is that they vanished and that they materialized. But they clearly don't. There's a reason why they don't need guns, and they just use swords. But with Selena, she was looking through her scope, and we could clearly see some advanced technology. But even with the advanced technology, you couldn't see the target. But she knew where the target was. Like, she knew exactly where to shoot. There must be a reason why she didn't kill it herself. Maybe they needed to kill it so that it could be identified in order to collect the reward. We don't know. All we know is what happened. But, I mean, that's what I'm going to know, the writer. But the viewer wouldn't know that. So it's important for me. I think it's important to distinguish between what I know and what anybody else who's seen future episodes know, obviously. It's important to notice that, like, well, there's 3 different things then. Or I guess multiple different things. So there'd be what I know, the writer, what the audience knows, which is only showcased in the moment, and then there's the other one, which is what the audience knows after they've already seen it, after they've seen the whole episode. Because obviously, as you're watching it the first time, it's going to be given to you one step at a time, but then after you've seen it, then you would know more information that you could go back and say, okay, knowing this information so far. So there's 3 different observers, okay? Okay, so it's observers. 3 at least 3 categories of observers. One is the writer. Yeah, the writer. 2 is, hey Patch. Yeah, it's good. I just finished my coffee, and we're taking some notes on this story I want to write. But then I came up with a concept that I think is pretty cool. So in any kind of story, like for example a screenplay, which would mean like a TV series or a film, there's at least 3 different observers. I just kind of came up with it. I already knew, like, innately this idea, but you need to understand that you need to understand what a scene would look like to these different observers. So obviously there's the writer, and I'm going to get into that, but basically the writer knows, or ideally, the writer knows everything that's going on. Like all the information, basically an omniscient observer. Then there's the viewer, in the present moment as it's happening. So this is the person who's seen it for the first time. The viewer, the first time viewer. So that's the viewer who only gets things spoon-fed to them, and so they only know what they see in the present. And obviously, as you learn more, you become this third viewer, this third observer, which is the viewer who has already seen the story thus far. So like if there's like 3 episodes, this third person is the person who's seen all 3 episodes. And so if that person went back to episode 1, they would see it differently than the person who was viewing it the first time. But they don't know everything, so they're not the writer. The writer knows everything. Well, ideally. Obviously, there's things that. Then this is the reason why it's important for all these people to hear all these people's different opinions or different observations, because obviously the person who you need to know what people view. You need to put yourself. Well, basically, I need to put a different hat on. I put the writer's hat on, but then I need to kind of put myself in the shoes or put the hat of or put the hat on of the first time viewer. What does this look like to somebody who doesn't know what's coming next? And because I need to put myself in their shoes. And then there's the person who's seen it already, and then if they were to go back, they would see the things in a bigger view. But they're not going to see it as large as this. So it's like it's important to know what these people have when you're getting like beta readers, like when you want to get feedback. Because if you write like a serialized show or something, and maybe you only release like 1 episode per week, and what if you're able to produce, like, let's say ideally, like obviously this is ridiculous, but what if you're able to produce an entire episode per week and then get feedback and then write the next episode? And yeah, you could do that for screenplays if you were like insane, like for like a weekly, like let's say monthly. That's a better thing. Let's say you wrote like a web series on YouTube, for example, which is obviously the goal for me, is to be able to write screenplays for web series, because that's the most common type of media today. That I feel like for me as an entry point as a screenwriter is a very realistic goal, is to be able to find people who want screenplays written for web series, for their YouTube channels. There's a lot of people out there. I might be able to find people who need me for that eventually. But right now, I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm trying to actually finish stuff first and have samples and have a resume, basically. But like, let's say ideally, like let's say you wrote 1 episode a month of a show, and it's like a 20-minute episode. 20-minute episodes once a month, or let's say an hour-long episode once a month, and then in between each month you would read the comments of the people who watched the entire episode. And what if you did? What if you could also do it as a debut, or whatever they do it on YouTube, a premiere? Yeah, you could do it as an instant premiere, as a premiere, like schedule it to premiere, and you'd be able to see the live chat as it's happening. Because obviously there's going to be people who don't read the chat, and there's going to be people who just watch it, and so those people are going to become observer number 3, which is very valuable information, because you want to know what people think after they've seen the whole episode. But there's always going to be those people who actually type into the chat while they're watching it. That's just how it is. Some people are like that. I'm not like that. I like to watch it completely alone. In fact, I don't even like watching TV shows and movies with my friends unless I've already seen it. Obviously, there's some times where it's like, well, they're watching it and I don't really want to just be isolated. I want to spend time with my friends. Obviously, that's going to happen sometimes. Like Alita Battle Angel, I saw it during a party. And I wanted to watch it alone so I could observe it, you know, completely isolated, but it's, you know, I really wanted to watch it by myself, but I ended up watching it with my friends, because if I didn't watch it, it would have been on the background and I would have observed it like even worse. So that was the thing. But I'm like that. I don't like typing into live chats while I'm watching something, but technically, like, you're supposed to think about the large audience. If you have, like, let's say ideally you have like 1 million people watching each episode per month, and you premiere it, and there's people who watch it live. Yeah, like you're like me. Oh yeah, like I'm just like that. I'm like that too. Like with stuff that I don't really care about, or I might not care about, and that I would probably not watch on my own, then I like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it with friends or whatever. But even, you know, the thing is family movies, I actually prefer to like more like adult movies. I really like Disney movies and Pixar movies and stuff like that. They make me cry because I feel like they're so much more relatable. And to me, kids movies, quote unquote, are actually more adult than adult movies. Not like adult movies, like more mature movies. Honestly, like, I feel like people have this like thing in their head where they think because it's like rated R or whatever, that makes it more mature. But I actually think some movies that are like G or PG are way more mature, like emotionally. Like, I don't know how to explain it. No, because they appeal to a large. They don't just appeal to kids; they appeal to the family, like the adults as well. In fact, like you'll see, and I'm not talking about like the literal like references to like more adult themes. Like obviously they'll make jokes that only like the parents get or whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the deep emotional impact that the characters have, like the struggle that someone goes through, like. For example, spoiler alert for Frozen, like in Frozen, the moment where Elsa, like, just like, you know, the let it go scene, where she finally discards her, like, she stops holding back, which obviously that's like a character arc where she's in a moment where she thinks it's one thing, but it's actually like just like an idea that she eventually learns is actually something deeper. But like at the moment she thinks it's that she just like wants to stop holding back. But then she learns that like she's hurting people, and like that's like love is obviously like, you know, love, the true love, spoiler alert, so you know, for anybody who's watching this who doesn't want to hear the ending, you know, the true love is her sister. It's not the guy that like we all thought it was gonna be, right? Like the cliche, like, you know, like the olden days of storytelling was that there was some Prince Charming, and that like true love's first kiss was some random dude, which is obviously like I mean, obviously, you know, if you read into it too much, you can see like Sleeping Beauty, like the guy kissed her without her consent. Obviously it wasn't like that though, but like if you really think about it, like this guy like assaulted her, like he just kissed her while she was sleeping, like like what the fuck. Yeah, I don't hold back tears in public either, but there always is. See, the thing is like when there's people around, it's gonna influence you. So anyway, like I'm saying, in this ideal setting, there's gonna be people who do chat about it while they're watching it. So there are people who do love that social aspect of movies and film. In fact, it's a lot of people. I'm the outlier. Like we're the outliers. Like, we're the random people, and obviously we're not a small group of people. There's a lot of people who prefer watching a movie completely alone. Like, we want to watch it without any outside influence. We want to completely let go of our ego. We want to just, like, that's how I am. When I watch a movie, I completely let go of who I am, and I completely absorb every single character and every single, like, I try to become, like, the movie. Like, I try to understand what the movie is trying to tell. Like, what the writer and what the film, and also the unintended consequences that is outside of the, because I think there is a magic that happens. Obviously the writers and the actors and the directors, you know, they all have like an intention, but then there's like the things that happen that are just like kind of magical, like they just happen. Like you try to make something, but then it becomes this other thing that people then observe, and they create like something new from it, and it's like unintended consequences, like for better or for worse. But I feel like if I was like, ideally, if I was going to set up like a film series that I would like, this might happen potentially in my future, but if I was like collaborating with other creators, I would highly suggest, like, if we were going to make like a monthly series, and for this, but like obviously it's good to plan out something like and film them all without feedback first, like do a season at a time or whatever. But like if you're going to like do a it would be cool to do a project where you get feedback in between each episode, and like so you have a whole month to create the episode. Or maybe 2 months, I don't know. I just don't know. Like maybe make it a 2-hour film that takes several months to make. I don't know. like what if you, well, okay, let's just just for this example, just to make it simple, let's say you have a 1-hour TV show that, or like a, 1-hour TV show that you release every week. And you can produce it in a week, and it's good quality. Let's just say you can magically do this. Let's not like break reality. Like, let's just take reality out of this for a second, just for this concept. Well, you're the writer, and you're making this and you're making this show, and you have your own ideas, and then you make it, and then you have like a premiere date on YouTube where you have people watching it live. They're not able to fast forward. They're not able to like whatever. They're watching it live with everyone else, and there's going to be people chatting. So that's logged. So you can actually you can see it as it's happening, and you could also review it later. And then there's the people who comment on the video after it's premiered. And so these 3 different observers are like, like obviously the writer knows like everything ideally, and then you have these other 2 observers that are going to help you understand things from different points of view. But I also think you have to be able to put yourself into these people's shoes at any given moment. So it's like when I look at a scene, like there's certain things, so if I do like this is like the summary here. So observers, 1 and 2 and 3. So observer 1, 2, and 3. So, the writer, the first-time viewer, and the viewer has already seen the story. And I need to be able to imagine, like, what it would look like to this person. So in this person, it's literally, like, what happens in the screenplay. Like, so you see them walking across the grass, you see 3 characters, and until proven otherwise. See, here's my thing on gender, by the way. I think people sometimes, hey Set. Oh yeah, I'm doing fine. I kind of remember what I was, I don't know if what I was, I think I was pretty upset last stream. I think it was after I had already talked to like my case manager and like a therapist. I have like a main therapist, and then I have some people I have a person I can call like in kind of an emergency, like throughout the week, as like a backup therapist, to like work through some stuff in like a moment of like escalation. I've worked on some of that stuff more. I'm just really worried about money, but I have a new lawyer that my case manager is working with, and I gave her permission, and she's going to get me like a document I can sign to give formal permission for her and my therapist to communicate with the lawyer as much as possible, and because I don't want to have to rehash a lot of stuff that has given me PTSD and go through all this pain when I've already gone through it twice already for this SSI process. Hey, Kyler. Oh, come on. It's you know what I was watching? I was on Amaranth's stream the other day, and you know, like there's so many fucking people who come in and tell her that she should stop doing what she's doing. Like, this is terrible. Why are you licking a microphone? Like, dude, like, you take time out of your day to go into somebody's stream and criticize them for what they're doing? That's so fucking cringe. Like, if you don't like it, don't watch it. You don't have to. Go somewhere else. It's so fucking ridiculous. Like, I don't understand these people. Anyway. So basically, like, the Observer 2 is obviously the immediate viewer, right? So like, obviously, when we're writing a screenplay, we want to put ourselves into that viewer. So the screenplay itself is Observer 2. You don't want to put, I mean, obviously, sometimes you can put some expository information there. You know, for in the action, you know, for I've read some scripts where it like tells you like some background stuff. And sometimes that just saves time for the reader, you know, because the audience. Oh, thank you, Green Man, with the green plan. Awesome. So obviously, like the target audience for a script is not the viewer. The target audience for the script is like a producer or a director, or an actor, or somebody, or an agent, or somebody who can get you into contact with somebody who's gonna want to buy the script to make a movie. So that's like, you want to give them information that they can latch onto, and usually what you want to do is you want to be in the complete moment. And what I've noticed is, like, you know, when people give too much information, it kind of drags down the script, and it makes me want to stop reading, because I've read a handful of scripts, some professional scripts, and you know, a handful of professional scripts and a handful of amateur scripts. And what I've noticed more about amateur scripts is they'll do a lot more exposition and like explaining, when it's so much better if you just write it as if you're watching it, and you basically just say exactly what you see. And that's what I try to do. I try to basically pretend that I'm watching it, and when you're watching something, you just see what's on screen. You don't see like the subtext. You learn the subtext through your own observation of it. And possibly, like, you know, dialogue will happen and stuff like that. Like, you don't get told what's happening. And obviously sometimes there is exposition that helps move the story along, but you want to like limit that to when it's effective, because if you use it all the time, it gets really tedious. And it's not a novel. The target audience is not the person who, I mean, the target audience is somebody who wants to understand whether or not that this is going to make them money. And so you want to give them like basic, easy to read ideas that give them a huge idea of whether or not this is going to be something because if they want to read it, they're going to want to buy it. I mean, that's what I believe. I obviously don't have the experience of selling scripts, but I mean, I'm just trying to put myself in the mind of like a producer or somebody who says, okay, I have this giant pile of scripts, right? I have to read like 100 of them a day or something like that. And then I see this one that I really want to keep reading. There's these other ones that I'm reading, I'm like, you know, whatever. I'm going to throw that one away. But then you read this one, you're like, whoa, like they adjust their seat and they're like, they want to know what happens next. That's going to be something they're going to fucking buy. Because if they love it, millions of people are going to love it. I mean, potentially. I mean, if they're a producer, they know the big picture, right? This is to analyze the book text. This is a screenplay I'm writing, called Bounty, a working title, Bounty, and I'm trying to figure out like I'm trying to like figure out like ideas for an outline, because you know, I have an outline right here. Yeah, like you see the negative and positive feedback on release while it's airing, you know, in the YouTube premiere. Yeah, I mean, obviously the writer ultimately has the you should be able to take in all the information and not have it influence you negatively, where you're like trying, like you can, like with feedback, it's important to accept that feedback, but treat it like I like what Stephen King wrote about it on Writing, which I have back there somewhere on the top of my bunk. in the pile of nonsense. It's important to accept the data, but then kind of realize that, like, if one person says something that's negative, it might be something to think about, but it shouldn't really influence how you approach it. Obviously, it's data that you can use, but if like 3 or 4 or 5 people say the similar things, then I love reading too, Set. Then it's probably something to look at, because then it's like, okay, well, if like multiple, like if you have like a pool of like 30 people who are like your beta readers, that you write something and then you send out, and I think like there is like a way to effectively get beta readers. You don't give them the whole text. You give them like one scene or a couple scenes at a time, or even just one scene, and you give them that scene and you have questions to ask. And that's going to depend on which scene it is, because you as the writer, you want certain information. And so I feel like the best way to get feedback is not just to give them something to read and then have them like